Alrighty, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another UFC prediction video. This time, we got the rematch of all rematches. Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka. Oh man, the two titans. If I can't have a McGregor fight, I'll definitely take these two. These two killers, man. Warrior versus warrior. Oh man, that's one of the best fights you can make in the UFC in general. I'm so happy we get to see it again. Two absolute killers going at it. It's such an awesome fight. Such an awesome fight. But many great fights here. As you know how we do it on these UFC predictions, we talk the pay-per-view, all 5 fights on the pay-per-view. So without further delay, let's talk UFC 303. This first fight on the pay-per-view might end up being... This fight has the potential to be one of the best fights on the card or the worst fight on the card. Ian Machado Gary puts his undefeated record on the line against MVP Michael Venom Page. The UK, well, England versus Ireland, that's a pretty cool rivalry in itself. I kind of wish we had this fight in Manchester. That would be the atmosphere there, but that might even cause a friggin' mini civil war over there. But man, the fact that these guys are both 6'3" welterweights is absolutely nuts. Let's talk about this fight though. MVP looked pretty damn solid in his UFC debut against Kevin Holland. People thought Kevin Holland was going to make easy work of Michael Venom Page. I'm like, don't speak too soon. MVP, he's the real deal. But big step up in competition, in my opinion. I'm not saying Kevin Holland's a bum by any means, but he's taking on Ian Gary, who's definitely no slouch of a striker. When it comes to striking, I think MVP's got the better hand. I really do think MVP's gonna be a much better striker than Ian Gary, personally. And that's crazy to say against Ian Gary. I shouldn't say much better, but I do think MVP will be the better striker. I think Ian Gary's key to victory in this fight is to try and put MVP's back against the cage, make MVP move on the back foot, be aware of everything at all times, and that's extremely hard to do, especially when knees, roundhouse kicks, and everything are flying at you. But man, MVP's got such a crazy, fluent, elegant style that it's just, he can catch anybody from anywhere almost. And honestly think Ian Gary's best chances are to get MVP on the ground. But personally for this fight, I'm going to say Ian Gary loses his O. I don't think he's looked particularly impressive against Jeff Neal and Neil Magny, but that's his last 2 fights. So I'm going to say MVP gets the job done. I think MVP is going to get the job done on Ian Gary. I think MVP will get the win. I don't think he'll stop Ian Gary, but I do... Actually, I mean, we have seen Ian Gary get dropped. Screw it. I'm going to say 3rd round KO for Michael Venom Page. I think MVP's going to find Ian Gary's chin, get the job done, and get Ian Gary out of there in round 3. Alrighty then, next fight up, you have Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Macy Chiasson, that's how you say it. I know a couple of Chiassons, so I'm going to say it like that. They always call it Chiasson on the broadcast, but I'm going to do Macy Chiasson a favor here. But I'm going to be honest, definitely not the most entertaining fight on the card. I mean, Macy Chiasson, there we go. Very 50-50 fighter. She's got a win over Dumont though, which is very good in my books. I rate Dumont very highly. I'm pretty sure that's how you say her name. It's not the French girl, but the one that looks like her. She's pretty damn good too. Bueno Silva, she had a dud against Raquel Pennington. Let's be real. She had an absolute dud, but I mean, she didn't look that bad against Holly Holm. Like, her last couple of fights have been impressive. I think Chiasson is going to try and keep it on the feet. I think that's Chiasson's goal. But if Mayra Bueno Silva gets Chiasson to the ground, I think that's going to be curtains. I don't see a world where Chiasson does very good on the ground against Mayra Bueno Silva. So that's going to be my prediction for this fight. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because I think it's going to be a little bit of a snooze fest. But Mayra Bueno Silva, I think, is going to get the job done by a 2nd round submission against Macy Chiasson. A finish, we like that. We do like finishes, but yeah. I think this is going to be a decent card. International Fight Week never lets down. The crazy things that happen on International Fight Week are just absolutely nuts. I think Mauro Bueno Silva gets the job done by submission against Massey Chasson. And yeah, next fight up, they keep on loading. This is, even for, I gotta say, for a card that's pretty not well, it's like pretty unorganized or whatever, and like had a lot of things happen to it, we still got some pretty stacked fights on it. We can't lie. We can't lie. Next fight up. This is definitely a shuffled around one, to say the very least. But Anthony Smith takes on Roman Dolidze, coming up for 185 pounds to fight at 205. And this is an interesting one. I mean, Dolidze, he's fought some really good fighters. I mean, his last 2 fights have been against Marvin Vettori and Nassourdine Imavov. So that's some pretty good names to have on your resume. Well, I mean, I know he lost, but like even to go in there and decently compete with some of those guys, nothing to be ashamed of there. But he's fighting a veteran on short notice, Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith stepped on this fight on short notice to replace Jamal Hill, who was fighting Carlos Ulberg, and Carlos Ulberg stepped up to fight what's his face, Jamal Hill, after Khalil Lountree backed out. So it's like, what can you do? Crazy circumstances, but we have a fight at 205. Dolidze, he's going to try and keep this one on the feet. He's definitely going to try and keep this one at the feet. I mean, Anthony Smith, I could see him having a very similar game plan to what he did against Vitor Petrino. Just get him on the ground, put him in an uncomfortable situation, get him out of there early, and I can see Anthony Smith getting the job done here. I mean, he's a veteran, he's been around the game for ages, and I mean, fought the best of the best. When you fight John Jones, you have officially fought the best of the best. But Anthony Smith, it actually has a average lower fight time than Roman Dolidze. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, no, Dolidze was on a good run before the Vettori fight. Like, he beat Hermanson, he beaten some good guys along the way, but I think but with the short notice, I can see Anthony Smith getting the job done. I think Anthony Smith will take precaution against Roman Dolidze, especially with short notice, take him to deep waters, and I think Anthony Smith will get the nod by decision against Roman Dolidze. Quick turnaround for Lionheart, but I think that'll be a good thing for him. I think if he can ride the momentum, I think he'll be doing pretty well for himself. Give me Anthony Smith by decision, and co-main events. Oh boy, this one's a fun one. Next up at featherweight, Brian T. City Ortega takes on the up-and-coming superstar at featherweight, Diego Lopes. Oh boy, this could be a fun one. The 16-3 Brian Ortega, been in the UFC since 2014, man. That is crazy to think about. Brian Ortega's been in the UFC for 10 years. What? And he's fighting Diego Lopes out of Brazil. Diego Lopes has a significant advantage in height, about 3 inches, 3.5 in reach as well. So Diego's going to go in there, the bigger guy, against Ortega. But for Diego, this is like a big test for him, going against a UFC vet. I wouldn't even say a much more experienced guy, because Diego's got 6 more wins than Brian Ortega. So that's pretty crazy to think about. Diego's got big wins over Pat Sabatini, my hometown guy Gavin Tucker. So, like, and who did he just fight? Yeah, he just beat Sadiq Youssef in the first round by knockout at 300. Like, Diego Lopes is no slouch of a fighter. Diego Lopes is the real freaking deal. And Brian Ortega, coming off a big win against Yair Rodriguez in the rematch in Mexico City, he is going to be looking for a big win against Diego Lopes. He's going to look to take some of that hype from Diego Lopes. Honestly, Diego Lopes reminds me a lot of what Brian Ortega was when Brian Ortega was coming up in the UFC. Other than the submissions, really, but Diego Lopes, I'd say, is much more of a striker than Brian Ortega, and he's definitely got some jiu-jitsu skills, but not as much as Brian Ortega. But like, jiu-jitsu guy versus grappling guy, or jiu-jitsu guy versus striking guy, rather. So, can Diego Lopes keep Brian Ortega away, keep him out of range, find his punching range, don't use kicks too much, not against T-City, who could... I still don't understand to this day how Volkanovski got out of that one submission. Like, that was wild. I would have went out if I was in that submission. Like, Jesus Christ. But Jesus, it's a big fight here. It is a very, very, very big fight for Ortega and Lopez. The new versus the old. I really like this fight. And I mean, one fight I didn't mention is Diego Lopez. How much time did he have for the Movsar Evloev fight in his UFC debut? Like, that's pretty crazy to think about. But for this fight, it's a tough one, man. It is a tough one. I feel like this could go either way. I feel like this might be a little too soon for Lopez. My gut's telling me Diego Lopez. It just is. It just is telling me Diego Lopez. How is he gonna do it? Man, I ain't got a damn hell clue on this earth, but I'm gonna rock with Diego Lopez here. I think he's gonna get the job done by decision. Yeah, I can't see him knocking out T-City. T-City is tough as nails. I'm gonna rock with Diego Lopez to outstrike Ortega and get the win by decision. But man, I'm thinking back to Ortega's win against Korean Zombie, but that was 4 years ago. God, T-City looked amazing in that fight, but then again, Zombie was just a punching bag, so I don't know. I'm gonna rock with Diego Lopez, and I think he gets the job done by decision. Our next fight is the main event of the evening between Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka. At 205 pounds, the light heavyweight title, even on short notice, is on the line. Now, let's talk about the first fight between these two. Let's travel back in time. It is November 11th, 2023 at Madison Square Garden. Alex Pereira, he beat Jiri Prochazka that night, but that fight, I felt like it was fairly even up until the finish, you know? I think Jiri snuck in the first round. Alex is such a smart fighter, man. Like I'd say Alex definitely has a lot more of the brains over Jiri, but like Alex in that first fight was just chopping him with the leg kicks. Even though Jiri won the first round, Alex pretty much eliminated Yuri's lead leg. He was just chopping him down with the leg kicks, and then he kept feinting the left hook to get Jiri thinking, because that left hook, man, that left hook is something else. That left hook is something else. I will say that much. Alex Pereira, man, that guy's got a left hook from hell. And Jiri just kind of went through the wind. Like, I think he got too excited, got caught away from the technique, and I mean, which is crazy to think that Jiri Prochazka did that, because that's rare for someone with the talent of Jiri Prochazka. 6'3", 206 pounds, 80-inch reach, like, and in what, 35 professional fights, Jiri Prochazka got too excited. I mean, it is for the title, I get that, but he already had his title fight with Alex Pereira's main training partner and coach, Glover Teixeira, so it was like, I expected Jiri to get a lot less, or keep his emotions in check in that fight, but then Alex Pereira found the finish in was it round 2 or round 3? Let me look this up real quick. I'm pretty sure it was round 3. It might have been, what's his face? It might have been later. Come on, internet. Or earlier, rather. 2020, come on. Technical difficulties. When was the finish? Will someone please let me know? Alex, please. Internet. But, come on. Oh, it was round 2. Wow. I thought it was round 3. My bad. But, yeah, no. Let's talk about their last fights in particular, because they had a fight in between. They both fought at UFC 300. Alex Pereira clipped Jamal Hill, looked the better fighter, showed a up-and-coming trash talker that you chat shit and get banged sometimes. It's just how the world goes. Pereira caught, well, what's his name there? Freaking Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's nickname was Sweet Dreams, and Alex Pereira said Sweet Dreams to Jamal Hill. Jiri Prochazka, you know, he fought Alexander Rakic that same night. He headlined the prelims, and Rakic ain't no bum, man. Rakic is a tough friggin' dude. Sitting at 205, like, they're both 205, like, light heavyweights. Rakic, I think, if anything, was the taller man, and got power for days, can brutalize just about anybody. But, yeah, no, Jiri, I don't think he won the first round. If anything, I don't know what Jiri was trying to do at some points. I felt like he was trying to hurt Rakic's hands with his face, but that second round, he just went hammer time on him. He put Rakic into deep waters, and Jiri came out with the win that night. Now Yuri's back in the title picture. So who do we think is gonna win this fight? Man, I love Jiri Prochazka, but it's so hard to deny the greatness of Alex Pereira. In just 2 years, he's made himself one of the all-time greats in this sport. Like, unfreaking real. He is that guy. Alex Pereira is that guy. 110%. He is that guy. I think Alex Pereira will get the job done against Jiri Prochazka. I think Jiri Prochazka will make Pereira's life a lot more difficult in this fight, but I can see Alex Pereira getting a late finish. I can actually see this going like Jiri versus Glover in a way, but I think Alex Pereira will find the finish in round 5, and I think Alex Pereira gets a TKO in round 5 to win back his UFC light heavyweight championship. If you guys are excited for UFC 303 live from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, International Fight Week, make sure you leave a like on this video, drop a comment down below, subscribe when notifications turn on so you never miss a future upload here on the channel. And yeah guys, for next time, I will see you at the end of July for UFC 304 Edwards versus Muhammad. Good God, what did I just say? Take care, and peace!